back to another episode of the Halfstep Pod. I am your co-host Connor Lane, and across from me on StreamYards, my co-host Grant Fisher. Grant, it's been a minute since we've done one of these.
Yeah, man. We've been kind of on a little hiatus, but needed to bring this thing back after what it's probably been a month since we've put anything out. So uh, that is not what we were trying to do, take a month break, but I'm glad to be back, you know?
Yeah, that's the most important thing. It has been a month. It's been a month of heavy training. I know for you in preparation for the trials, it's been in the heart of my spring quarter, but no one wants to hear about boring school stuff. The most important thing is that we've got something big coming up at the end of this week. We wanted to kind of do a little preview episode for you guys before we hit it. Grant, what you got going on?
Yeah, so we are recording. It is Monday. What is today? The 23rd? Yeah, Monday, the 23rd of May. We've got U.S. Championships on the track in the 10K coming up this Friday. So flying out on Wednesday to Eugene, get a little pre-meet going on Thursday, and then race is Friday night. So exciting stuff. It's attached to the pre-classic this year, so should be surrounded by some pretty cool races. And yeah, the boys are getting excited. We've been having some good training, so hopefully can put something together that's exciting on the track.
Yeah. It's a really interesting dynamic. So you've got three teammates and yourself going down on the men's side. Yourself, Woody, both you guys made the 10K team last year. Sean, and then also Lopez. Woody and Sean have the A standard, as well as several other people. I'm sure we'll talk about them in greater detail later. I guess the biggest kind of weird thing associated with this race is the timing of it. We've talked, I think, a lot in previous podcasts about the decision to move the 10K trials up. I honestly, I feel like you might have better insight in talking about why specifically USATF decided to do that. But also, like, what is your opinion on that? Because I feel like pre-classic would have been a race that you're running at. Some of your teammates are running in the races the next day on Saturday at pre-classic, like Thomas in the 1500. You probably would have also taken a crack at a 15 or a 5. So what's your thought process with USA's moving up? I mean, obviously you can't change anything. You're just focused on your race, but like, what's the deal with all that?
Right. Yeah. I mean, I'm not involved in the USATF voting process, but I believe a lot of the rationale to moving the US 10K to be separate from regular USA's was one, the 10K just takes up a lot of time. If you think about the men's and women's race, that's an hour of TV coverage, and a lot of it is cutaway to commercial. So I think part of what they wanted to do is have a standalone event. Originally, this race was going to be a week ago, or this past weekend at Mount Sac, but it ended up being moved up to the pre-classic and kind of attached to that event. Yeah, a lot of other countries do it this way. The UK does it this way with the 10K being completely separate. Ethiopia does it this way. So this isn't completely out of the blue, but I believe it was, to dedicate time to the 10K to give it more attention, and then also not take away from TV time from the main USA meet. So kind of twofold. I'd say I've had mixed opinions on the change. For anyone that is wanting to double at the US Championship 10K and 5K, this makes it significantly easier because you're fresh for the 10K and then fresh for the 5. That being said, it doesn't mirror the World Championship schedule, so perhaps you're not going to select the best team to perform at the World Championships because you're under different constraints with recovery and stuff. But great for me because I'm planning on doubling, so not too many complaints. I think it'll be fun. It changed the dynamic of the season a lot. We spoke about that in previous episodes, where you have to be pretty tuned up now in May, and it kind of sandwiches the season a little bit. So can't really hit as many invites as you'd like kind of mid-spring.
Yeah, and like we were saying, like, this is certainly one of them that you probably would have hit. It's the only Diamond League meet in the States in pre-classic. So, and you raced it last year in the 2 mile. Obviously, that was immediately after the Olympics. So a little bit of sadness, I guess, not getting a chance to run pre as well. I mean, obviously this is the choice. There's not even a decision about it. The trials are the second most important thing. But you had a decent race there last year. I mean, I thought really good. I guess decent in the high standards that you may hold yourself to. Yeah, so missing out on one opportunity, but of course another door open with an opportunity to make the world team for this year in the 10. It also, one interesting thing is it is rough for college kids again as well. Last year, I think Connor Mance, who has the A standard and will be running the 10K this weekend, he was still at BYU or just graduating, and he led a lot of laps, I feel like, of that championship 10K that you came in second to Woody in and made the Olympics. And college teams have regionals this weekend, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And I don't think that anyone's making that trip over to run the 10 instead. So that's another interesting caveat when you talk about team selection. Again, it's something that's completely out of your control. And we'll get more into the stuff that is in your control, like how your training has progressed and your expectations for the race and all that stuff. But yeah, it's interesting how it seems like a lot of these decisions have pros, and then there are also obviously cons and difficulties associated with making those transitions. It's just, I don't know if we can, I feel like we can find a way to please everyone, but we don't. We often find a hole in it. Obviously, though, a little bit fortuitous for you as someone who plans to double in the 10 to 5.
Yeah, it is rough on the college guys. I don't think any, at least on the men's side, I don't think anyone in college has a standard.
Does
You
Abdi,
could
that would be the only thing?
Abdi Hamid, maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like you said, there's pros and cons. You get a standalone event where everyone gets to pay attention to the 10K, which is rare, and you're the marquee thing that people are watching, kind of. But you switch up the schedule, you change the season, it might not line up with the NCAA cycle. It's just a little different. So pros and cons, I don't know. At least in recent memory, I don't remember the U.S. championships ever doing this. So it'll be a cool little experiment. See how it goes. Maybe it goes great, and this is how it is every year from now. Or maybe they decide to bring it back to the standard, all events at one championship style thing. But we'll see. I mean, like you said, out of my control. I mean, my only decision to make was, okay, here's the schedule. How are we going to optimize, and how am I going to be best prepared for this race and future races that I care about? So, yeah, I think we're pretty prepared. But it'll be a new thing, standalone 10K. It'll be fun.
Yeah, under the lights Friday night in Eugene. It's nice that it's a night race. That's definitely something.
Yeah.
I mean, last year we can recount the trials, but those races were warm. It'll probably not be cold, but it will at least be dark or dusk when this race goes off, which, I mean, obviously, especially out west, that sun heat can certainly be like the bigger thing than even any humidity. Although I know it's also a bit humid in Eugene this time of year. Yeah, going into this race, you got we said 8 American men, we were counting before we went on, who have the A standard. Refresher for people who maybe haven't been following track for that long or don't understand all the granular level details associated with this. The A standard is the time that you need to run to qualify for the World Championships or the Olympics in a given year. There's also a B standard, which doubles as like a USATF qualifying standard, which can qualify you for the trials itself. But in order to progress from the trials to the World Championships or the Olympics, you need to hit the A standard. Typically, before the trials race, there's a unique caveat that because this 10K is moved up before the rest of the trials, there actually is a little bit of time for someone to make the top 3 without the standard and go chase it. That said, I don't know how many 10K opportunities there are going to be in between this 10K and the rest of the trials. It doesn't necessarily make it just a race of 8 people because anyone in the field can line up. And of course, there's winning a USA championship on the line as well. There's a lot of talented guys in this race. Do you even think about guys who have an A standard versus a B standard versus like nothing coming into a meet? I mean, obviously you know your competition and you're probably judging your own race based on where they are, where the important people are. But is that something that you're aware of? Like if you're in a pack of 5 late on, are you thinking, hey, there might be 2 with the standard and I'm kind of safe if I stay on my feet? Or is this, I mean, especially with this caveat that you might be able to standard chase. Does that change anything? Just walk me through how that approach goes going to USA's.
Yeah, within the race, I won't be thinking at all about who has the standard and who doesn't. Like you said, uh, even if someone doesn't have the standard this weekend, they do have the opportunity to chase it if they finish in the top three. So I think it'd be kind of foolish to count spots based on who currently has the standard because that can change in the future. I mean, regardless, I think everyone's going into this race and thinking, I want to make this team. Personally, I want to win this race, and it doesn't matter if someone has a standard or not. I'm going to try to race them to the line. So I wouldn't say it changes a bunch. I think the more thinking and evaluating you're doing in the race, that's not a good sign usually. That probably means you're hurting and trying to find a little way out.
That's true. That's a great point.
So yeah, I'm going to try to avoid thinking like that, but that is a factor in these races. You do need standards, and that's backtracking a little bit. That's why we raced a 10K in March to get a lot of guys standards and stuff. So wanted to check that box in advance so that I wasn't in this race thinking, okay, I need the standard and I need to be top three. It's a little too much to accomplish in one go. So wanted to get that done early.
Yeah. And so just to go over the 8 guys who have the standard, although this is obviously not like the limit of people who could either run the standard in the race or afterwards make the team. It's yourself. It's your teammates, Woody, Sean. We've also got Ben True, Emmanuel Bohr, Joe Klecker, who made the Olympics last year, Shaddy, Shadrach Kipchirchir, and Connor Mance, who, won NCAAs and cross and led a lot of this race last year as well. A lot of those guys accomplished that at Sound Running, whether it was this year or even in 2021, which is another cool thing because I feel like it has seen domestically. There's been a couple of opportunities for people to hit this A standard if you pop off on the right day, and otherwise the opportunities are a little bit more limited. But yeah, this is definitely a caveat. I don't think that like the world rankings points or any of that really comes into the picture, especially in like the domestic 10K, at least right now, the way it currently is structured, maybe for people besides yourself. So yeah, it'll be an interesting race. It'll be a fun one to watch. And you've had quite a bit of time to build going into it now. We haven't talked in a month. You also haven't raced in more than a month. You've been grinding up at Flag with the entire team, all you guys in one house. And so tell me a little bit about what that's been like, the preparation for this race, and any details on like workouts or what you've been doing to get into, not get into shape, I guess, but get into the shape you need to be ready for on this Friday.
Yeah, man. So like you said, yeah, I've only raced twice this year. So I haven't raced since
they've been 2 decent
early
races
March.
too. Definitely showed your moments.
Thanks for hyping me up. But yeah, it's been some time since I've been on a start line. So at this point, all of the guys on the team, like we don't really need that race stimulus as much. I mean, we've raced so much that like you know what you need and you know how to hype yourself up for a race and what to expect. So I wouldn't say we need like a rust buster at this point. But yeah, so after that last 10K, that was early March, we went back to Portland for about 6 weeks and did a lot of base style training. In a previous conversation I had with you, I think we were recording it. I can't remember if we were just on the phone or we were recording it. We kind of described it as like fall training and thinking of the season as 2 seasons, where kind of had that indoor season where we were chasing times. And then now a full new season where we're going to be chasing places, and slightly different focus and approach, but the same kind of structure where you hit a lot of strength work, a lot of hills, a lot of tempos, fartleks, hard long runs. And then as you get closer to these races, start to hit the track a bit harder, do some stuff at race pace, hard reps, hard 300s, hard 200s, still hitting a little bit of that strength stuff, but the emphasis becomes race pace and finishing races strong. So the general structure of our training's been like that. And we've been at altitude for just over a month now. So hopefully have that altitude boost, a little extra red blood cells. So when we pop down to Eugene at sea level, uh, you know, hopefully we can breathe a little easier because it's tough up here.
Those legal
But
red
yeah,
blood cells, everyone.
yeah.
Yes, yes, within the bounds of just living in a new location.
Yeah. And I know you mentioned we're in Flag. We're actually in Park City. We are in
Oh,
Flagstaff in the winter.
my bad. Yeah.
Yeah, no, you're good. So we're in Park City. The house we're staying at is at about 8,200 feet. So we're pretty high up there. We work out and run quite a bit lower in elevation, but kind of embodying the live high, train low philosophy. So yeah, it's been a good camp so far.
How's the weather been?
Oh man, it's been hit or miss. We got some snow like 3 days ago. Lost power. I think like a power line went down, so we were out of power for a couple hours. But
Living on the
um,
edge. Who
yeah,
knew what was going to happen
yeah,
at night?
yeah, real blue collar up here. But yeah, training's been going well, and we haven't been hindered by the weather at all. Some days it's windy, but you deal with it. Some days it's snowing, but you deal with it. And um, when we drop down to Salt Lake City, which is where we usually go for our workouts, because the tracks there are at more like 4,800 ish feet. Um, it's always sunny and warm there, so it always feels good. So um, yeah, we've been. I guess people always like technical stuff. We've been on a like 9-ish, 10-day cycle of training where we do 3 workouts and one long run in that 9 to 10 days, um, rather than the traditional like 2 workouts and a long run over the course of 7 days. So um, yeah, workouts have been going great. Feeling healthy, and that's a good feeling going into a big race.
So you had your last hard session. I want to say you told me it was like 5 days ago. It might have been a little different from that now. Tell me about what that was like, what your like kind of your last real like hard prep work is before the race, like this 10K.
Yeah, so in general, people like to do like their last massive, not massive session, but their last really hard session roughly 10 days out from a race. Sometimes it's 9, sometimes it's 11, sometimes it's 12. I don't think it matters too much, but you want to give yourself enough time to, hit this really hard effort and then recover and feel your legs under you, reap the benefits of that workout by the time the race comes. So we were down at University of Utah. It was a pretty hot day, which was good practice for running in the heat, and
That's true.
did a lot of reps at kind of like 5K ish pace, cutting down. Um, so kind of simulating the end of a race where with 3 laps to go, you might squeeze it a little bit. With 2 laps to go, you're going quicker, and then with a lap to go, you're really hitting the gas. So um, yeah, I had some 1200s in there, running in the 3 O's, some 800s, sub 2, and then some quarters like pretty quick as well. So feeling good. That was a good confidence boost going into this race, and yeah, the team's looking good. We've got 4 Bowerman guys in this race, and I think all of them are pretty prepared to do well. So should be good.
And guys, 800 sub 2 is not his 5K pace. It's not that far away from it.
True,
Just
true.
to
Okay,
take
yeah. So we cut. Yeah, we significantly cut down. Yeah. That would be well under world record pace. So I won't say that, but it was like 5K ish to 3K ish to 1500 ish pace. Um, so yeah, a very good session. Nice to hit like a range of paces, and nice to finish. Going quick too.
And last question about it, because I don't want to, I know how your coach is with all the particular details. Is this a workout where you're super concerned with rest and recovery, or is it more like when you're ready to making sure that you guys are ready to go to hit that faster stuff at the end, or is it still more about balancing that aerobic? Because obviously the 10K you're running 6 consecutive miles, but the
Right.
difficulty of that workout, it's hard no matter what. But it's what was it about that quality of the actual reps, or was it about staying in a certain zone for a long period of time?
Yeah. The rest was not unlimited, unfortunately. The rest was very structured. So, um, we were going on the watch like at very, very specific rest points. That workout we were taking like 3 minutes rest, I think, for most of the reps. And up here at altitude, that goes by pretty quick. But yeah, the rest is pretty structured in a way so that you're not it's not full recovery. You're not 100% going into each rep. You're still kind of breathing hard. Your legs are still feeling a bit heavier and heavier as you go. So um, I would liken that workout to kind of like a 5K-ish effort, where yeah, it would be like us racing a 5K like 10, 12 days out from this race. I'd say it was a comparable idea to that. So the rest was shortish, in an attempt to like really get that lactate to build, and you kind of have like your head spinning by the end. So this was very similar to a workout that we did right before heading off to Tokyo last year. A very similar workout, and I was quite pleased with the paces we were able to hit relative to last year. So feeling good.
That's always a promising sign. I feel like most of the time, especially in your like year-to-year progression, you see improvement on those paces from a previous year. What if you don't? Is that the type of thing where if this felt way harder than it did last year, how does that affect you moving forward or something like that? Because we all have like bread and butter workouts you go to 10 days out from a race, or similar type of things you do. We might do like back in high school, we do like 3 4 by mile sessions a season, like one at the beginning, one at the middle, one towards the end. And you'd always be like, yo, that felt way better, or I closed that last mile harder. This is huge. But sometimes for whatever reason, whether you felt bad or maybe you're a little bit burnt or whatever the deal is, you don't have that positive stimulus of like the mental side. Hey, this was way easier. This was way faster. I'm sure you have experienced that type of stuff, especially in your first couple of years at Bowerman. How does that kind of feel? How do you work through that?
Yeah. I try to, whenever we do a similar workout to something we've done before, I try not to think of the paces, before doing the workout the second time. And then, run the assigned paces. And if I look back and they're quicker, then it's a good confidence boost. If I look back and they're slower, then usually I'm kind of like, okay, different situation. The lead up was different, different time of the year, different track. For example, yeah, the wind. You try to rationalize it to yourself a little bit. Just because you hit certain paces last year and maybe you run slower this year in the exact same workout or similar workout, that doesn't mean like you're washed or you should question the system. I think, it's probably not great to look back. I guess you do get
a great confidence booster.
You do get a confidence boost if it goes like better, but
it goes well.
Sometimes it might not, or maybe it was a different part of the year. I don't know. There's a lot of factors, so I try not to get in my own head too much. But sometimes the curiosity gets the best of you, and you look back at the log, and you're like, am I in as good of a place as I was last year?
Or is it better?
Yeah. Sometimes you look at it and you're like, oh shit, like maybe I'm behind, but I found that usually it works out. Even if the paces aren't quite what you wanted, the cumulative usually works out. And that's where like trusting the system, trusting the coach, that stuff comes in.
So going into this Friday, you're going to get there on Wednesday evening. You guys' plan post race is to get back up to altitude because you've got the rest of the trials coming up in a month, which is probably not something you're thinking of at all, but is there, and is part of your guys' plan. But going into this Friday and this 10K and an opportunity to make the world team for Worlds to be held in mid to late July in the States for the first time. I think the first time in like North or South America is what I was reading for World Championships. Obviously, Olympics have been held here. Opportunity to do it at Eugene in the new stadium. What's kind of home turf for you as a like semi-Oregon native now. We don't really know the terminology there. We've had multiple episodes about where home is for Grant. There's obviously the big like philosophical like that'd be really hype. aspects of it. But in your approach to this race and this 10K, I want to hear from you about not just what you expect, but how you plan to deal with what's really going to be like racing for the first time, not just in a couple months, but non-time trial racing for the first time in really since like Prefontaine in the Diamond League last year. Not that you maybe need all that experience, and I promise you that running 1250-ish doesn't like hurt your ability to run tactical races too. But I want to hear what you're thinking about that with the race, not going to be paced. It probably won't be super slow, but it also won't be, there also might be people around you later on than what you're used to in these time trials where it's just been you and Mo or just you and a couple guys up there. So walk me through that and kind of your overall thoughts on how this race might go and how you're going to plan for it.
Yeah, you're right. Like I mentioned a bit earlier, we had our chase times part of the season, and now we're on our championship racing part of the season. One nice thing about those time trial style races were, I was racing people at the end still. It wasn't just me and pacers out there or anything. I was up against the defending Olympic silver medalist, and I raced, indoors racing Mark. He went on to get a bronze medal at World Indoors just a few weeks later. So I'm still racing at the end, and you're still in that kind of race mindset at the end. The difference now will be the first 90% of the race will be different, where you're looking at each other. You're not just getting in line and shutting your mind off. You have to be thinking and watching guys and seeing where moves are made and stuff. So just have to switch the brain on a little bit earlier and be aware of body positioning and the tactics and everything. So all those things, like I said, we've raced so many times that those things are very natural now. I don't really feel the need too much to have like a championship race rust bust type thing, if that makes sense. I think I'm well prepared to hop into this and get into the race mode. So yeah, I'm excited, ready to go. It'll be a little different lining up and then watching the pre-classic. There'll be some races that evening, and then the next morning. Our coach is strict on the get back to altitude as soon as possible train. So flight is out Saturday morning or Saturday at like 1 p.m. I think. So can't watch the rest of pre, which I'm a little bummed about because there'll be some good races and my teammates will be racing. But this is the beginning of championship season. We've had a big push to this, and this kicks it off. Kind of crazy how quick the year goes, man. It doesn't feel like that long ago. I was lining up for the trials last year, so this will be good.
Yeah, and I would say this is kind of the last thing about that is like in a very different headspace too. Similar headspace, I guess. I don't mean very different in the sense it's not like you weren't preparing really hard or focused on the job or any of that before, but with what you've been able to do in the last like calendar year, it really, going into a race like this trials, it's certainly not anything that you need to scoff at. It's going to be a very difficult race for you to run, but I don't know. I mean, I think we've talked about it a little bit, but we had a chance to interview Elise Cranny earlier on in this year. And she was talking about her kind of shift in perspective, having made it to the Olympics and seeing where the world's best were. And I know that that's something that you've also kind of personally gone through in the last year, also training with someone like Mo, who's, a world silver medalist, or Mark, who's got that bronze now from indoor. I'm not going to ask you to be like, yeah, it makes the trial. It's just an easy thing to get through, because they're certainly not. But I do feel like even compared to last year, there might be a different sense about like doing your job and executing and knowing what you're capable of within that race. Do you feel increased confidence after last year? Or is this still something where it's kind of all or nothing? We'll see what I got.
I'd say my confidence is much higher than it was last year. I've raced at this level before. I've raced a few more 10Ks now, and I kind of have a better feel for myself at this distance. And I'd say with that comes a bit more confidence than last year. But like you said, this is nothing to look past. The U.S. is very, very strong right now in the distances, and anything can happen on a day. Um, there's no point in counting places before they happen, or um, looking past this in any way. This is going to be really hard, and I'm preparing myself for that. And I know I have uh, some very good guys to race against, and I know they're going to bring out the best in me. So um, I think I think the mindset is a little different. I'll still get very nervous for this race. It's the U.S. Championships. Um, this is a big one, and of course there's uh, the World Championships that I would love to get to this summer, and I have goals there. But in order to get to those, I need to perform this weekend, and that's something that I want to put 100% focus into. So. Um, yeah, that's kind of the mindset now. Last year, the mindset was a bit more reactionary, I'd say. Like my confidence was good, but I'd only raced one 10K at that point, and I didn't really know what to expect out of myself. I really wanted to make the Olympic team, and that was something weighing on my shoulders. Um, and to make the team was a dream come true, and to race at the Olympics changed my perspective on what was possible for me. And I hope to only take the positives from that going into this year. So hopefully this kicks off a good summer. And I expect it to be pretty challenging. So got to get the mind revved up.
That's awesome. Well, you are prepared. We were talking before we went live. Fresh cut just yesterday. For those of you watching on the YouTube channel, who's the barber?
I had to get a fade.
In Park City. Who gave you the fade?
Drove down to Salt Lake actually for this cut yesterday.
It's not something you can just get in Park City. That makes sense.
Yeah. Shout out to Cutthroat Barbershop down in Salt Lake City. So got a nice cut. Always nice to feel light and ready to go before these races. A little aerodynamic haircut is always good. So man, look good, feel good. It's race time.
Yeah, I mean, so Woody's got the arm sleeves. I feel like you often have the fresh cut right before the race. But is there anything else that you're hoping to bring to the trials Friday and also this next month that can kind of be like, here's Grant's signature? I feel like you've earned the right, if you wanted to have a signature thing, to have a signature thing. And I'm not talking something so, grandiose and overdone as like a finish line celebration. Is there anything that you're going to be rocking? Maybe that's something just to think on moving forward. I know it's not exactly your style, but you could have some sort of thing. Maybe it's yelling Halfstep Pod like when you finish. I don't know exactly what it would be, but different options here for sure. I'm sure you've given that a lot of thought in this last week, so. Yeah,
that's been weighing heavy on me. It would be kind of cool to have a thing. Woody's thing is the arm sleeves. That's pretty cool.
I feel like Lopez.
I don't know what I could do.
Arm sleeves.
Lopez's arm sleeves and his necklace. His necklace with the stallion on it. Yeah, I feel like that's kind of his thing, and just being completely ripped.
Lopez's thing is just ridiculous abs.
But I don't know. I'll have to put some thought into it. Yeah, maybe a signature thing would be cool. I feel like I would want it to be more organic than like trying to come up with what's my shtick gonna be,
Yeah. Like, you want it to you want it to be connected to something. I mean, I don't know. You've probably got some superstitions or something. Maybe just like bring something to the forefront. Yeah, I'm just saying you have like high school distance running in America like at your attention if you want to start a thing. We'll have to brainstorm more in the coming days before the trials to really iron it out. It might be a type of thing that you gotta really sleep on once you think of it. Or it could be something that mid race you're feeling it and you do it. Maybe there's like an arm movement or something like that's Grant's thing. So we'll see.
Yeah, I would hope that it comes organically, and then I look back and be like, oh, maybe I'll just do that again. Like whether it's like, I don't know. I guess what was his name? Didn't Dwayne Solomon used to wear like sunglasses a lot? That was kind of cool.
Yeah. Yeah, which was sick. And then like then like the guys who wear it like even at night or something. It's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
you don't
that's
need to, but you
the thing
do.
is, if you do stuff like that, like you kind of have to win at whatever event or race. Like
This
you
is
can't
true.
be the guy wearing sunglasses at night and not run well.
Yeah, I mean,
Or like, yeah.
look, that's why I feel like you've earned a thing. I feel like even on a like, I feel like you're gonna be. I'm not saying win. I'm just saying like you're gonna be solid. You're gonna be competing. You've been consistent now. You know, like we're gonna be around that. The concern with obviously doing a thing just organically is it could look lame as hell, and that and that's something that you bring in as a risk that you might think looks sick as hell, but in actuality is lame as hell. And that line can sometimes be a very fine margin. Now, winning and then doing a thing typically comes off pretty solid no matter what you do. But it's just a risk. I mean, I feel like that might be the direction it seems like you want to take it, and that's cool. But just you know, it's a risk. You have to have something to think about for the first like 20 laps of the race. So no, we don't want to be giving everyone too much bulletin board material that Grant's dreaming of his thing or celebration mid race. But I know it's been weighing on you. I'm glad that we brought it up. If people have suggestions for Grant's thing, I can almost guarantee he won't use them, but we will read them. Yeah, and we could talk about them too. So if anyone's got ideas, remember when Galen did like the baseball bat swing
Baseball bat was cool. I mean, he had the tape on him, his arms
and
and
the
stuff. I
nasal
think
strip?
that was the
He
same
brought
year.
nasal strips like into the fold. It's like let's wear these during races, guys.
Yeah, nasal strip. He had the pollen mask at one point. He had the jersey that
Full.
was all cut up. I feel like he had like some very unique things, but never like super consistently like doing one over the other, you know?
His thing was having the things. His thing was like I'm gonna do
Yeah,
like I'm
a
gonna
different thing.
I'm gonna cut holes because it's gonna help no matter how it looks. And like I feel like that's in itself like that was Galen's thing. It's like I'm gonna like altitude proof my house. Like that's what he's gonna get those margins. So that was kind of Galen's thing. I feel like nasal strip made sense for him. If you rock a nasal strip, I mean you can. I'm not saying don't, and I'm not hating on nasal strips generally. I've used them before, but it might be perceived differently. I don't know. We'll figure out something to do.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, yeah, you can brainstorm my thing. Maybe I'll focus on
Yeah,
racing.
I'll take that. I'll take that burden. I'll take that load
Yeah,
on me. Don't worry about it. I'll hit you up. I'll be like, do this, and we'll see what happens. But
yeah,
no, I'm excited for you, man. It's gonna be a good week. Hopefully, we'll definitely have a recap up. We are obviously sorry for the additional hiatus here. Like Grant said in the beginning, things have been hectic. It's been heavy training. You've been tired. I've been grinding as well. Yeah, it's exciting though. We knew we had to get a little preview up in before we actually started, or I guess you actually lined up here for this 10K on Friday. So, anything else you want to add before we kind of call this one and talk to you guys next week?
um, yeah, nothing major. We'll go through our standard race week stuff, which usually consists of a bit of a taper, um, a light pre-meet workout where you just kind of feel good, maybe run one rep at approximately race pace, and then everything else is just kind of fluff. There's no substance to it. It's too late to get fit, really. It's just about feeling as good as possible come race day. So yeah, the taper time always feels good. The butterflies start to come and try to harness that nervous energy into excitement and turn it into a good performance. So yeah, I'm excited for this one for me and my team, and hope you guys are able to watch. I think it's on NBC, unless something weird has changed.
As far as I know, they have rights to pre and the trials, so
Yeah.
it's almost certainly on NBC or yeah. So yeah, that'll be in main NBC. You think?
Not sure. It might be one of the Peacock type things,
Or
but
NBC SN? I guess
yeah,
I guess we'll
NBC
see.
Sports maybe. There's also some cool races Friday night, I believe, after our race. Uh, World record attempt in the 5K. Although I've been hearing mixed things on whether or not it's going to end up being a world record attempt or just a very fast 5K. Either way, that'll be exciting. The next day you've got another loaded meet pre-classic. it'll be super entertaining. So great weekend for track. Hopefully we can kick it off and have some fun.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but if it's not a world record in the 5, then you can no. Yeah, it sounds like it's gonna be really fun meet. Pre is always really fast, up and down every event, really far, really high. I'm doing the jumps now, and the throws. So it'll be an awesome watch. Kicked off by you in the 10 on Friday, and we will have full recap for you guys next week on the Halfstep Pod. Thank you all for listening. I know it's been another brief break here, but Grant and I are always glad when we can jump on the mics and talk. So yeah, thanks everyone, and we'll catch you next time on the Halfstep Pod.
Yeah, thanks guys. Talk to you next week.